You must have slow connection. What's happening, bro?
Yes, Marv.
You right?
Good, bro. How are you?
I'm good, my man. Every time I see your face, I think of that hotel when there was only one bed and one cot there.
Well, every time I go away trips, I have a look
Yeah.
at that, and I'm blessed about all the trips I get.
So, man, thanks for coming on, mate. I know it's late there, so we won't keep you
Yeah,
long.
it's 11 o'clock, bro. All good.
Oh, okay. Now, basically, I'm just getting like different pros on to speak about like their careers and obviously what's going on now with us. Obviously, having to train at home and stuff.
Mm.
So
Yes.
obviously, you're like a really good one because you've been around a lot. So even if we just start at the start with you, obviously you were born in Melbourne and stuff, and then
Mm.
you went over to Blackburn, didn't you? At 15, was it?
Yeah, went over there at 15, and um, yeah, just spent four and a half years. Wasn't too far away from you, down in Burnley, down that
Yeah.
road. Yeah, man, just spent 4 years there and really learned how to be, a man. I left at 15 to leave all my family and that, and had family in Edinburgh, which was good. So
Yeah.
yeah, bro, it was tough journey, but everyone has to do something to sacrifice, and that was the one I had to sacrifice: is leave my family and friends and come over to the UK to see all you guys.
How did that come about? Like, obviously, it's so weird. Like, obviously, being in Melbourne, the next minute you're going to Blackburn in England at 15, other side of the world.
Yeah, I had a few friendlies over in France and just got recognised and had a family friend who knew a contact at Blackburn at the time, and originally was actually going to go to Celtic and Aston Villa on trial. Big Villa fan, so I was
Yeah.
buzzing with that. Yeah, man, and then obviously spent 2 weeks at Blackburn, and they offered the deal at the time, and said, look, if you take the deal, it's all yours. If you decide to see those other clubs, then the offer's off the table. So you know what it's like. You take it with both arms.
Yeah, you take what there, definitely. So you said you did what, 4.5 years at Blackburn, was it?
Yeah, 2009 to about 2013. So yeah, four years, good solid 4 years.
And then you ended up leaving there, um, and then going back to Australia.
Yeah, I
Was that,
went signed in Perth.
yeah.
That's where I met my partner, and then what was after that? Perth, and then went to 2 years there. Then did Brisbane, um, and then yeah, signed in Germany, and then found myself your teammate.
Yeah, exactly. Scoring goals at Hibs. So when you went back to Australia at first, obviously after leaving Blackburn, because I imagine coming from Australia to the UK, like that's what probably most footballers want to do, especially playing in England kind of thing. Was it hard
Yeah,
then to get your mind around having to go back? Because were people thinking, oh, like, you know what people are like already, like, oh, you
yeah.
failed in England, blah blah blah. Was it hard for you to go back, or were you just missing home?
No, no, I wasn't missing home because I ended up signing for a team that was still 5 hour flight away from my family. So, it was one of those ones where I had to take a sort of step back to take a step forward. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it was, I found myself in a hole in England. You know what it's like. You limited opportunities. And at that time, Blackburn had that many strikers. I was never going to, I just had to be realistic. So decided to come back to Australia and basically, show people that I'm actually good enough to be out of Australia and play overseas. But I had to do 4 hard seasons in Australia and score multiple goals every season to prove everybody that I do deserve to play overseas. And but having said that, I did enjoy the 4 years I spent at Perth and Brisbane because it made me as a player, and it made me people realize the sort of person that I am, because no one
yeah.
really knew I was in Australia at that time. I was a 16, 17-year-old that left, and playing 4 years in Australia, showing people that I can score goals, put me on the radar, I guess.
Yeah. So obviously, when you went to Perth, was that your first encounter with men's football? You made your debut there. So is that when you first, because at
Yeah,
Blackburn was it like youth team football, I suppose?
yeah. You played the occasional, you played the reserve games, but and you played
Yeah.
against first teamers. But you're right, man. I was fresh off the under-20 World Cup, and that was a really good experience. And then I just said, I need to play against men. I need to be, back then the A League is like it was now. It's on TV. You're in the public eye, and something I hadn't probably been used to. So, and then walking into a dressing room with William Gallas, so Perth Glory. So,
Yeah.
play, ended up, walking out on the pitch with him and someone who's done everything in the game, and I felt like that was the right step for me.
Was he a help to you? Obviously, I know he's a centre half and you're a striker, but
Mm.
surely training against someone of
Yeah,
that quality, like you said, has played at World Cups like you have, but played at the top level as well.
Yeah,
Was it
I mean,
a
for some reason, he had a soft spot for a few younger lads, and I was one of them. Maybe because I'd been around the English game and I understood, I've been to games to go watch him when he was playing for Tottenham and Arsenal and all that. So,
yeah
it was one of those ones where I kind of, just really took a liking to him, and he passed on the experiences and said, for me to improve as a striker, I need to be doing different movements, which, he in games in training, he'd just block my runs because he'd just see it 5 seconds before it would happen. So
yeah
I had to adapt and evolve, my game around one of the best centre backs that's ever played.
yeah. So obviously after Perth, how many seasons did you do at Perth? Was it 2 seasons you did there?
Yeah, about two. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you went to Brisbane, but didn't Perth have like a problem with their salaries? Was it were they
yeah.
breaking the rules of the salary cap or something?
Uh, we have a salary cap in the A League, and at that year we done so well. We were actually top of the league, and breached the salary cap for a number of reasons, just with the bookkeeping, and everything was taken away from us. So you can imagine, being top two
Yeah,
to losing all your points and losing all your silverware, due to financial things, which was out of the players' control. The players,
yeah,
we were there on the weekend, playing our football and producing on the field, and we were let down by other things, but it was in the past, and I was able to then, because I still had another further year at Perth, and I
yeah,
decided to move on to Brisbane. So, and play under, I'm sure you know him, John Aloisi, who played in England
yeah,
for
yeah.
a few
Played
clubs,
Coventry, yeah,
Coventry.
Birmingham as
Yeah,
well.
so he was a striker, and for 2 years at Brisbane, and yeah, to be fair, it was a great move, and it panned out the way I wanted.
Yeah, you scored a lot of goals there as well, didn't you? You're on fire
Yeah,
there.
I did. I had a point to prove, and for two in a row, I'd scored 20 goals, and that was, huge. For me being, age 20, 21, and to win Young Player of the Year and win a Golden Boot was something I knew I'd always be able to achieve, but so early on in the game, I didn't know. But to achieve it at such a young age was something that I'm still proud of, but made me hungrier to progress, to other clubs and overseas.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And from there, you went to Germany.
Yeah, so obviously flew to Germany, met with Torsten Frings, obviously a huge name in Germany. Number six for the German World Cup for many years, and we sat down and agreed everything, and I went to the Confederations Cup with Australia with the Socceroos, and basically came into pre-season a couple of weeks late, and that didn't help, man, because they just signed so many players that I was out of sight, out of mind, and
Yeah,
came back into the fold, and obviously into a country where you don't really speak the language at the start, and it wasn't easy. And with a year leading up to a World Cup year, I thought I need to play, and that's why after 6 months I signed for Hibs, mate, and
yeah,
linked up with you guys in Portugal, and yeah, even took a while to adjust. And but the minute there was offers from other places in Europe, but to be honest, for some reason the Hibs stuck out. Obviously
yeah,
my old man being from Edinburgh, it just stuck out, mate. And I've never regretted that decision in any way, because that was probably one of my fondest times in my short career already. But
yeah.
just so many memories, mate. So many memories.
What was it like? Obviously, like you say, coming and signing for us. Because did Graham Mappy meet you? Was it Graham Mappy who met you?
Yeah, yes.
Picked you
So
up?
actually, it's funny, mate. I can say all these things now because I'm not even contracted to them, so it's all right. But so I actually met with Craig Levine first. He originally Hearts wanted to sign me, so
Yeah,
I don't think Hibs were that interested. So I met up with Craig Levine, and basically he was keen, and so I flew back to Germany, and apparently it hit the Edinburgh Evening News, the paper,
yeah,
and it said that Hearts are looking at me, and all of a sudden I got a phone call from Hibs saying, look, we'd be keen to explore this option. And I said, whoever comes up with an offer, I want to come to Scotland, I want to come to Edinburgh, and my dad's hometown, and Hibs were quicker than Hearts, and probably in the end was a way better option, and an option that I look back now and say, in terms of the squad that the mates that I've got now, in terms of you guys and all that, and the way we finished that season was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
yeah. So you came in obviously in January, and then what was your first game? I think what your first game was for us.
First game was Actually, it was an Edinburgh derby, man. I didn't come on. I was on the bench.
Yeah,
Uh, and then the following week, I came on for like 3 minutes away
yeah.
at Dundee. Cheers, Lenny. 3 minutes. And then
Was it Rangers
following,
like one of the early ones? Because I remember we were
yeah, it
playing.
was. It was, bro. It was.
You
So
came on.
I was
Who got
I was on
injured?
the bench. I was on the bench. The following week away at Ibrox, and Brandon Barker tore his hammy within the first 7 minutes,
Yeah, left wing back. Yeah,
and it was weird, man, because I remember sitting with Ollie, and Neil turned around and said, "Ollie, go warm up." And then 2 minutes later, Neil just looked at me, and I think I was eating that chewing gum, that caffeine chewing gum,
yeah, yeah.
and he just looked at me and said, "Fucking take your top off. You're going on." I said, "You just told Ollie he's going on." But so I literally came on, man, and I swear that's probably one of the best sort of. It just happened quickly. I didn't warm up, didn't do anything. I just went straight on the
Yeah.
pitch. Me and Flo linked up, and then that moment with the penalty, I knew that was either going to make me or break me as a Hibs player.
I was so nervous when you because obviously you came on, you're on absolute fire because we were playing one up front. I remember, but wing backs, and then McGinn went to left wing back for Brandon, and you came on for Brandon, went up front. So Hibs
That's
hadn't
right.
played two up front for a while. So you came on, like you say, you and Flo were unbelievable together. We got the penalty, and I was so nervous. I was thinking because we had a depleted squad, didn't we? We had a lot of injuries. So
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think there was a lot of injuries, and there was question marks at the start of the game. People wrote us off massively.
yeah,
But and then it comes to it was Scotty Allen that got tackled, and John McGinn had the ball in his hand, and I looked at John, and he was like, "Fuck, I don't want it.
I don't want it.
Take
Yeah,
it." So yeah, so John gave me the ball, and all I was thinking at that penalty spot was, just put your laces through it. Don't try and be cheeky. Just
yeah,
put your laces through it, see what happens, and celebrate. Because I knew, from the penalty spot, I'll always score. Well, I believe I'll always score, mate. And
yeah.
what
What
a
were the nerves
celebrate!
like
Some of
then?
the photos. What was
What were
that?
the nerves like when like obviously
Uh,
coming back and referee
uh,
blows the whistle, a
you
position
know
I'm
what?
never in. So
I've actually been probably nervous in penalties more probably in Australia. I don't know what it was. It was
really,
it was. I think it was just Ibrox, just the way it was. 95% of everyone against you. I don't know. Just I felt like this was a moment where I could wake up the next morning and Hibs fans would know my name. It would be in the papers. At that time it was. I think it was it 1-1, and if we scored, we go 2-1 up. So
yeah,
I was kind of thinking, you know what, I can actually make a name for myself here in my second appearance or third appearance. So yeah, I just wanted to just bury it and celebrate with all you boys. And some of the photos that I've still got from that night was yeah,
it
goosebump stuff, mate.
was
Fucking hell.
unreal. Because you wanted to score what 8 in 15 during that loan
Yeah,
spell.
man, that was a good run. I mean,
Yeah,
it was back and forth, and we were winning so many games. Like there'd be games where Flo would score two, and then I would score, and then the week after I would score two, and he wouldn't score. So it was like we were always chipping in here and there, but other boys were chipping in. Scotty Allen scored on an Edinburgh derby night, which that was a fucking good night too.
yeah,
That Friday night, and then yeah, the last day of the season. I'd already been told I wasn't going to a World Cup, so I was a bit revved up
I
and pissed
remember
off,
I was around you. Yeah,
and I was just like, man, this is probably my last game for Hibs. Or at the time, I didn't know that, but so I just gave everything, and 3-0 up after 20 minutes or something on it. So
yeah.
it
We
was,
five five.
yeah, well, that was some night, mate. Honestly, that was 5-5. Really, we should have won the game. To be honest, just thinking
Yeah,
back, we were daft. We
just
tried to
wanted
go for
more
it,
goals.
mate.
Were we trying to
But
we were trying to score a certain amount of goals because we could have moved up a
yeah,
place, couldn't we?
no, if we won 5-0, we would have jumped someone, I think.
Yeah,
So it was we were just going gung ho. So yeah, that was pretty good. But I mean, the way the season finished, I mean, that moment gets replayed even in Australia. That when Lenny
yeah.
was still in the aeroplane and he got banned for 6 games, that still gets played here. So
he
pretty
was
pretty
he was
buzzing with
always
that.
bad.
I'm the guy that made him do that. So
He was always
um,
bad. Like you said, you were told it wasn't long before that, wasn't it? Was it on the day of that game that you were told you weren't going to the World Cup?
but basically, yeah. So it was the night before. So they look. To be honest, they did it wrong. I mean, they probably knew I had a game the next day, or even if they didn't. But I was told, look, you're not going to be selected for Bert Van Marwijk squad for the World Cup, and I was like, fuck. I accepted it, but at the same
Yeah,
time, I was still disappointed. And it was one of those ones where you kind of think, fuck, what did I do wrong? I'd scored, I know it's, you can't just think about the last 6 months, but I tried to find always a solution to put myself in the best foot forward. And,
Yeah.
for some reason, I, didn't get selected, mate. And I'm always a big believer on everything happens for a reason. And there's a reason why I scored a hat trick and then ended up on that plane to the World Cup. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
The thing about you coming to Hibs that probably most people don't know, and you're too much of a nice guy to say, you took actually a financial hit to come, didn't you? So you ended up losing out on money to play football in order
Yeah.
because you want to go and play for your country. Like, there's not a lot of people like. I'm not saying this to a friend of yours, but there's not a lot of people out there that would have done that, and that shows you as a person. And then a lot of people, as I said, won't have any clue about that. Like, not a lot of people have taken a financial hit just to go and play football. And that's why I think you got your rewards of going to the World Cup and you earned it.
Yeah. It was difficult, when you start to get a bit older, and at the time, you kind of say, oh, it's not about the money, it's not about, and it wasn't. I never wanted to have it documented. I never wanted it to come out. I'm taking a pay cut to come to Hibs, and the fact is, I wanted to go and play. I wanted to play at a big club, and whoever says Hibs isn't a big club is fucking stupid. So to get 20 odd thousand every game, it was goosebump stuff, and it was worth losing that money to go and play for that club, because I look back now and I think that, some of the moments and the goals I've scored and the games I've been involved in have been the best ever. To be honest, I don't think I'll ever top, that 5-all game, my hat trick. It'll be very hard to top that. So, I don't want it to be, I took a pay cut and all that sort of stuff and talk about money and the financials, but I did, and it was so worth it. And at the end of the day, mate, I think that like I said, you do get your rewards, and that was my just reward, getting on a plane because if I hadn't have come to Hibs, I probably wouldn't have gone to a World Cup. So
exactly.
The bottom line.
What was that call like when you got the call, obviously, after the final game of the season, to say, oh, now you are actually coming to the World Cup? Because obviously to have the disappointment.
Yeah. I was actually with Flo. You know what? I was actually with Big Flo in Dubai.
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say.
we were actually together, and obviously I just spoke with him, and obviously my partner, we were there, and just said, man, I'm going to the training camp in Turkey. I had to leave my missus in Dubai for 3 nights because I had to go to Turkey for the training camp. And to say I was unfit and overweight was probably an understatement, So it was, the timing was strange, but I never once said I'm not gonna, I put my ego aside and said, you know what, this is a fucking once in a lifetime chance to go and prove to yourself, because I wasn't at all guaranteed a spot in the World Cup. It was come and show the coach, and he wants to see you train. So I had to go there and show that, not one, that I'm good enough, but the other side is that I'm hungry to show him that, you missed out on a player that is probably, I was in form. I felt like I was in form.
Yeah. So obviously you went to the World Cup. What was the feeling like that to play in a World Cup?
Oh, you know what, Mark? It was one of those ones where the first game was against France. Now I was obviously on the bench just watching in awe, just how how the Aussies in the crowd, there was heaps of them, and there was heaps of French, and obviously they went on to win the tournament. So it's good to see that from the first game to the end, we got to see the world champions firsthand. And it was just a quality. Russia can hold their hand up and say they held a superb tournament, and something that no one can take away from me, something that I worked hard for. But along the way, the journey of players, and at the same time, you always sit back and you go, fuck that. I owe my teammates that sort of thank you. And we'll have a beer in 20 years time, mate, and say, you guys got me on that plane. But it will be like that. That's the reality, mate. I wouldn't have been on that plane if I didn't come and make these decisions. And even Lenny as well. Lenny gave me that opportunity to come to Hibs, and it was something that you don't take for granted, because World Cups don't come around all that often, mate. And it's getting harder for Australia to qualify nowadays. So we've got our work cut out now that we're in Asia, and mate, it's just a fantastic thing, and to watch Millsy captain it. Obviously, Millsy quite well, so it was pretty surreal, man.
So then after that, obviously you were contracted to go back to Germany, weren't you?
It was carnage, mate. It was really one of those off seasons which I didn't enjoy. Fresh off really good time with you guys, and then going to the World Cup, and then I went on holiday, just wanting things to get sorted out. Ideally, excuse me, I wanted to get out of Germany as soon as possible, and just even come back to Hibs clean cut and
Yeah,
all that. Like anything, I mean, fans. It's hard for me to explain to fans now
yeah, of course.
how difficult things can be, but
Yeah,
there was a transfer fee involved. There was all financial side of things that it wasn't with the do. It's not like we weren't trying, but
yeah, yeah,
it hadn't worked out, and then I had to go back to training, and and then it just started to. Then I started to feel my back, and when
yeah.
you don't have a proper break,
Mm,
it caught up to me because of the year before I had the Confederations Cup, so I'd had almost 18 to 24 months of flat out football,
yeah,
and not much break, and yeah, not much break, man. And it caught up to me, and that's when I was so excited to sign back for Hibs, but physically I just wasn't there,
yeah,
and I'll always be the first to hold my hand up and say that, but yeah, look, I never regret any moves not coming back to the Hibs the second time around,
yeah,
because the club itself gave me so much more memories than negative ones.
yeah. So you see, like you said, like obviously after the World Cup and then having to return to Germany and knowing that happens. See, as footballers, I don't think people realise the mental strain that we actually have. And because it seems like the perfect job and it seems like the ideal job, but the mental side of it, like I say, you go from a high of being at a World Cup, finishing the season at Hibs with a hat trick, and
Mm.
then you have to end up going back to a place you don't really want to go to.
Yeah.
Can you like put into words how like mentally that made you feel? Did you feel down within yourself because it's something you didn't want to do?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Luckily, I've got a good support network. My fiance, who was been around the journey for a long time now, and she's just ridden the wave of ups and downs that you go through. And look, we were happy in Germany in terms of
Mm.
where it was and the training facility and the club itself, but for our situation, it wasn't. It didn't suit, and I needed to get out. And because it was funny because you go from such happiness to where we were in Edinburgh, loving
Yeah,
it. We had family, we had a great team,
the
all
dog.
these things, they all panned. It was quality, and then to go back and then say, what, we might be stuck in Germany for the next 2 years, when really I just wanted to come back to Edinburgh and find my feet again. And but we ended up doing that. We came
Yeah,
back to Edinburgh, and we always found a way. But it does take its toll, and I think fans need to understand that we are human. We
mm.
do go through shit. We do sit at home and fucking sit on the couch and wonder what if, and start
Yeah,
overthinking. We're not just constantly just up here. We're not always
yeah,
at our highest point, although we have to be strong enough to show everybody that we are.
yeah, yeah. Of
um
course, yeah,
so yeah, it was difficult, mate, but like I said, I was so lucky that I had such a good dressing room that
yeah.
for me to come back to Hibs was a no-brainer, and fucking the best decision.
Yeah, and like you said, the second spell, obviously, people probably don't know. Obviously, you had the back issue, and you just
Mm.
weren't able to get yourself to the fitness that you were the first time.
Yeah,
Was
true,
that
mate.
obviously that was a huge frustration for you? Because like I said, I was in the changing room with you, like behind closed doors, and you were frustrated that your body wasn't able to do what you wanted it to do at that time, and
Yeah,
you were still saying, "Well, no, Mark, I'm going to go and play for the pain barrier because I want to play." When a lot of players have
yeah.
just said, "You know what? I'm not playing anymore. I can't because of my back. I need to rest it for X amount of months." I'll
Mm.
just sit here. Where you were the other way, you were like, "No, I'm going to carry on playing and try
Yeah,
and do my
I
best for
mean,
the team."
if I think back, my memory's normally quite good. We had Dundee away, um, and actually the Friday we played the cage game, and obviously just 5v5s and the young v old and all that. So
Mm.
both my hammies were seizing up, and I said to Neil, I said, "Fuck, I can't run. It's painful." And he's like, you know what he's like. He's like, you'll be fucking right. You'll be right for
Yeah, yeah,
tomorrow. I said, honestly, I just need to see the physios. I don't know, because it doesn't feel right. I haven't felt this before.
yeah,
And so I ended up getting a scan that afternoon. We drove straight to the scan, got it, came back, and it said I've got some stress on my back. Now, can you imagine me walking into Neil's office going, Gaffer, I cannot play, mate.
yeah,
Literally, I said, all I said to him is that, look, I can play tomorrow, but I'll
yeah,
probably be out. I'll probably be out for the next 2 months. Like that's, I
yeah,
can tear my hand. I could probably tear my hammy, and then it'll be over. At the time he was frustrated. I don't think he was frustrated with me. I think he was frustrated with the situation that it took so long for me to fucking get out of Germany and to
Yeah.
go back to Hibs. That way I could be managed properly. And over time, then I said to the physios, Nathan, if he's probably still
Yeah,
there.
he's still there. Yeah.
Um, he was a quality physio, and he said to me, "Look, you've got to go down to London, see some specialists, come back, and then they'll give you the diagnosis and how long you'll be out for." Turned out that I had to sit on the sidelines for 5 weeks. 5 weeks was a long time, and you can imagine Neil. I think he threw his coffee mug across the fucking room, to be honest,
Don't surprise me.
mate. So, and he was frustrated, and I think he just knew that we had such a good squad, and we were pushing for things. And I think there was a few results where we didn't get,
Yeah.
and he was a bit like, "Fuck, we need you out there." I said,
Yeah.
I'll be out there on one fucking leg." So,
Yeah. Makes no sense.
and then not the relationship between me and him got bad, but then I found it hard once I got fit enough to be in a squad.
Yeah.
He started to tinker with his formation, and then it was hard for me to get on, mate. And that's part and parcel of the game. It hurt me enough sitting on the bench for Hibs, but I was never a guarantee to play every game anyway.
Yeah.
So I was willing to fight for my spot. I think it was come the December time, and I think Ollie had actually taken some good chances and scored some good goals. I remember Hamilton away, really fantastic goal, and that he scored. So you stand up and applaud a young kid who comes on and scores goals. So
Yeah.
it was a tough period, and then obviously Neil got the email saying that me and Millsy and potentially Boyley at the time were going away to the Asian Cup. Now you can imagine fucking how many coffee mugs got launched after that. So honestly, man, it was a difficult 6 months comparison to the first 6 months, but
Yeah.
all in all, what a year spent in Edinburgh, and I wouldn't change it. Honestly, mate, wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, I'd like to think I've had some family friends who do fly over to Australia every now and then, and they do say that some of the fond memories were some of the goals that I scored, and it's nice to hear that people I've never met before, but they still remember it. And I've got a Hibs jersey framed somewhere in this room. So Look, I do miss Edinburgh. I'm not going to lie, and those moments that really made me go to a World Cup and turn out the player that I am today were all down to the part that Hibs played, and obviously you guys.
Yeah, no, quality. And obviously now on the 31st, you left on deadline day, didn't you, to go and join Melbourne? Like, what a great move that is for you. Like, you must be honoured to be playing there and you're flying.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting deadline day. I think I was sitting at home saying, like, look what's going on. And at the time, I think maybe the gaffer Neil had been stood down. From memory, and then they wanted to bring in Mark McNulty again, who did so well that previous time. So it was kind of Hibs were going to win, and if I had have got my move or moved on to somewhere else where, home is Melbourne. Let's say that. So everyone was winning in that sense, and signed a 3.5-year deal. There's always expectation on me to score goals in Australia, and look, I love it. It's part and parcel of being a striker anyway. But been a good season. I'm not sure if you obviously know Adam Lafondra.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
He bangs goals in every week, so it's good to go up against him every single week for the Golden Boot. And it's been a good season. Sydney are on top. We're second, so it's been good. But
you're leading the charts. You're leading, aren't you? You've got more goals than him, haven't you?
I've got one more, but I wouldn't write him off, mate. Don't wind him up.
To be fair, I've been watching it because obviously your football carried on when ours stopped, although it's behind closed doors. But you've stopped now, haven't you? But obviously, I was watching the games because they're on in the morning.
Yeah. So. We only stopped last week, man. So we've been playing, I think, 3 weeks when it's been really, really sort of. It's not as bad in Australia as it is overseas, but it has the potential to get bad. I mean, everyone's sort of sticking to the, stay indoors, and it's good because I think it's, something that the world needs to not take for granted our lives. I think some people nowadays, now they take for granted, watching football games, go out to the stadium, go see games, because now there's no football, there's no sport in the world. Everybody's just worried about this like I said, mate, everyone's safe and healthy in terms of the football world here in Australia, and I'm sure everyone in the UK will stay fit and healthy. And there's still big leagues to finish. Your league has to finish, and
Yeah,
we've got 6 games to go, mate. So we don't know when it will be finished, but hopefully it's resolved sooner rather than later, and we can all get back to normal life, mate. Because it's fucking, I'm sure everyone's sick of it.
yeah, being locked in. No, Jamie, top man, I appreciate it, man. I know it's night time there and you probably want to go to your bed, so thank you so much for coming on. You've been
All good,
amazing, mate. It's good to see
all
you
good,
again
bro.
as well.
Yeah, you too, man. We need a big cuddle soon.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. So listen, stay safe and I'll be in contact. But again, thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, bro.
All right,
Anytime,
bro.
and say hello to the Hibs fans for me.
I will do. Stroke the little
Take
dog for me, mate. See you later, bro.
it easy. Ciao, bro.
All right, bro. Bye.